The moment she saw him across the ballroom, her breath snapped in half. The music didn't stop. The chandeliers still glowed like frozen stars above polished marble. People kept laughing, glasses clinking, silk brushing silk, but for her, everything collapsed into a single, suffocating point. Him, standing there in a perfectly tailored black suit, looking exactly the same, and somehow colder. Her ex, the man who had once known the rhythm of her heartbeat better than she did. The man who had walked away without looking back. And now he was here. Her fingers trembled around the edge of her clutch, her pulse roaring in her ears as panic rose like a tidal wave. She hadn't known he'd be invited. She hadn't prepared for this. She couldn't breathe in the same room as him again, not like this, not tonight, not when she had finally started stitching herself back together. Then, without thinking, she moved. If this story already has your heart racing, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness Stories, if you believe every story hides a lesson. She stepped forward blindly, her heels barely making a sound against the glossy floor, until her hand found something solid, a stranger. A man standing alone near one of the towering columns, his posture calm, composed, untouched by the chaos swirling inside her. And before her mind could catch up, she reached for him. Her fingers clutched the front of his suit jacket, pressing close, her body instinctively seeking shelter. She felt him stiffen in surprise, but he didn't pull away. His arm hovered for a split second, uncertain, before settling gently around her shoulders, steadying her as if he understood more than she had said. She didn't look at his face at first. She couldn't. Her eyes stayed locked on the distance, scanning, searching, hoping. Too late. Her ex had seen her. Even from across the room, she could feel it, the weight of his gaze, sharp and familiar, cutting through the crowd like a blade. Her stomach twisted, memories flooding back in jagged flashes, late-night laughter, broken promises, the silence that had followed everything. Her grip on the stranger tightened. She leaned closer, pretending, needing, the illusion of intimacy. Her head tilted toward his chest, close enough to hear the slow, steady beat of his heart. It grounded her in a way she hadn't expected, like stepping out of a storm into something warm and unshakable. Around them, whispers began to stir. Because the man she had chosen, completely at random, was not unnoticed. He stood taller than most, his presence quiet but commanding. His suit wasn't just elegant, it was precise, expensive in a way that didn't try to impress but inevitably did. His expression remained calm, almost unreadable, yet there was a subtle sharpness in his eyes, like someone who saw everything and missed nothing. Still, he said nothing. And for some reason, that silence felt safe. Her ex started moving toward them. Each step he took felt louder than the music, heavier than the room could hold. Her chest tightened, her breathing shallow, her mind scrambling for escape, but there was nowhere to go. Except here. So she leaned in closer to the stranger, her hand pressing against his chest now, feeling the warmth beneath the fabric, the steady strength that didn't waver even as tension built around them. And then, something shifted. The stranger's arm around her tightened, not possessively, not forcefully, but with quiet assurance. His posture changed, just slightly, angling his body between her and the approaching man. A subtle barrier, a silent message, she felt it before she understood it. Protection. Her ex stopped a few feet away. For a long, suspended moment, no one spoke. The air between them crackled with everything left unsaid, years of love, betrayal, regret, and the ghosts of what could have been. But what broke the silence wasn't anger. It was confusion. Because her ex wasn't looking at her anymore. He was looking at the man holding her. And the expression on his face wasn't recognition. It was realization, a flicker of something, shock, calculation, something deeper, passed through his eyes before he straightened slightly, his confidence faltering in a way she had never seen before. That's when she finally looked up. Really looked at the stranger she had clung to. And everything inside her shifted again. His face was composed, almost serene, but his eyes held a quiet intensity that made her heart skip. There was something undeniably powerful about him, not loud, not boastful, but absolute. The kind of presence that didn't need to announce itself because it was already known. Around them, the whispers grew louder now, threading through the crowd like electricity. She caught fragments. That's him, the CEO, owns half the company, he never attends these things. Her pulse stuttered. The realization came slowly, then all at once. The man she had grabbed in desperation, the stranger she had used as a shield, wasn't just anyone. He was the billionaire boss. And suddenly, everything made sense, the way people subtly kept their distance, the way the room seemed to orbit around him without ever touching him, the way her ex had stepped back instead of forward. Her fingers loosened against his chest, a rush of embarrassment flooding her system, hot and overwhelming. She hadn't just made a mistake. She had walked straight into something far bigger than herself. But before she could pull away, his arm tightened just slightly, enough to stop her. Not trapping her, just asking her to stay. Time stretched. The music swelled again, the chandeliers shimmering above, the world slowly returning to motion, but inside that small space between them, something fragile and unspoken began to take shape. Not love, not yet, just understanding. He hadn't asked questions. He hadn't demanded explanations. He had simply stood there and let her breathe again. And in a night that had threatened to unravel her completely, that quiet act felt bigger than anything else. If this moment is touching your heart, take a second to like, share, and let others feel it too. Her ex eventually turned away. No confrontation, no closure, just absence. And somehow, that hurt less than she expected. Because for the first time, she wasn't standing alone in the aftermath. She didn't know what would happen next. She didn't know who this man really was beyond the whispers and the power attached to his name. She didn't know if this moment would fade with the night or become something more. But she knew one thing. She hadn't reached for him because he was powerful. She had reached for him because, in the middle of her breaking point, he had felt steady. And sometimes, that's where everything begins. Before the ending, tell me in the comments, have you ever found unexpected comfort in a complete stranger? The music carried on, the night slowly softening around them, and for the first time since she had walked into that room, her heartbeat didn't feel like it was trying to escape her chest. It felt calm, and in that quiet, fragile calm, something new, something unplanned, began to breathe.